Okay, so this week we're going to be looking a little bit more at pop art. Having looked at Andy Warhol's artwork last week, you're going to learn how to create your own piece of pop art by using bright colours in a repeating pattern. So you're going to remember from last week that I collected 6 objects from my home. All of them had some detail on them, and each one had a variety of colours to work with, which is what I was looking for. And if you remember, I chose to sketch my garlic jar, which I've given a little reminder there of what it was. You're going to work with your own sketch that you drew last week. Unless I suggested, there was a small number of you that might need to change your object and choose a more suitable one for the task instead. Maybe it was a bit too plain, or there was just one colour, no detail, but those of you will know exactly who you are. So to begin to transform my sketch into my own piece of pop art, I copied each sketch twice more, so I ended up with 3 of the same sketch, so it's in triplicate there, as you can see. You will need to do the same with your sketch that you did last week, so that you have 3 of the same sketch. You can photocopy or trace it if you want to save time. So next then I had to choose what colours I was going to work with. So I chose a palette of 5 colours for my final piece of pop art. So I chose green and orange, purple, red and yellow. Now how many colours you're going to need for your work of pop art will depend on the detail and the pattern that you chose last week. But it has to be at least 3. So 3 or more colours for your pop art to work really well. But it's really important that you stick to the same colours for each picture, but change how you colour the object. But careful colouring in is really, really important. Otherwise it's not going to look right. It's got to be really, really crisp and nice and neat. So these are the steps that I use for colouring my first jar. So I made sure that the shading, the 3D effect, was not lost by using the colour first to highlight it. Then I used the same set of colours again, and I introduced them to different places on my second jar. So for example, in my first jar you'll see that I used the green for the 3D shading, whereas in the second jar it was the main colour. So you can see that the colour has to be applied to a different place for this to work. Then again I use the same set of colours, the same 5 colours for my third jar. And I made sure again that the colours were placed in different parts on the jar. So no 2 jars should be the same for the full pop art effect. So this is really just a reminder from last week of our version of pop art, the style, the effect it gives. So we're looking at repeated images, patterns in a line, looking at contrasting backgrounds, so you'll notice that each of them have a different colour. You've got the freedom to use colours that aren't normally associated with the subject or part. Remember we looked at, like the third picture here has got a blue face, so it doesn't have to be realistic like it would normally be with a normal fine art. And it means that the colours don't have to match your chosen object. So my garlic jar, you'll look and at the original picture, the original photo, and they don't match exactly, but it doesn't matter for this. The brighter the better. So I added in a third, with this final picture here, I added in a bright background to each picture, using 3 of my original 5 colours. So I haven't gone and chosen another colour. I've taken it from the 5 original colours I started with to create my repeated pattern to give the full pop art effect. You will also need to choose a different background colour for each of your own pictures, but you'll still need to use it from the original colours that you're choosing. So if you're choosing 4, it will have to be from those 4 so that it all ties in. so it doesn't look like it doesn't really fit together very well. So the task, just to recap, you're going to copy your sketch that you drew last week, so you've got 3 of the same picture. You're going to choose a set of colours for your pop art piece of work, and you need to stick with these throughout the 3 different pictures. Remember to carefully colour each sketch using the same set of colours, but change where the colour is applied on each sketch. So if you look back at mine, you'll see that they have been applied in different places on the jar. Same with yours as well. You'll need to add your backgrounds for your full pop art effect using the same colours that you have chosen. Evaluations, what did you like about your work and what do you feel you'd change if you did it again? And this needs to be written in full sentences. And I know some of you find evaluations quite tricky, so I've given you some hints here. You might think about what choice of colour. Were you happy with your choice of colour? What about your colouring in techniques? Were they messy? Could you have done better, or were you really pleased with it? Did your backgrounds work with your chosen object? You know, look back at it at the end and think, is that really what I was hoping to get from my final picture? And is the detail still visible, or has it sort of blended into the background too much? Have a think about all of those things, and you might have some ideas of your own. Please make sure that you upload both your pop art and your evaluations. It's really important that you complete the task completely, because evaluation makes you a better artist because it develops your skills. So it's important that you look back and critique your work and decide, you know, what you did well and what you could improve on for next time. Any questions, just message me.